This is Orange Nation Overtime with Stephen Fonte and Paulie Sibilia.
Welcome into Orange Nation Overtime, everyone. Alongside Paulie Sibilia, I'm Stephen Fonte. Big day for Orange Nation. Gerry McNamara, officially the new head coach of the SU men's basketball program. Paulie, we've been talking about it for several weeks. It looked like it was going to happen. We thought it was going to happen. It is happening.
You know, it's funny, Steve, is he's in. Now he's got to get a staff, and then the portal opens. There is no office. I remember when he first took the Siena job, I discussed this with him. You and I were at the Boeheim Gala, and we said, are you going to take some downtime? He's like, there is no downtime anymore in college basketball.
Yeah.
So this is just going to be a process that just continues and goes for him.
Yeah,
you know?
No doubt. Although going to a place he knows as well as he does, and maybe bringing some players with him that he knows as well as he does, he may have a head start, right?
Yeah.
He may have, 3 guys coming with him from Siena that seem like good candidates.
He also will get a very honest opinion of the players that are on the Syracuse roster from a guy he's worked with before.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
that's a good point. So, yes, there's no time to waste. They got to get down to business. But I think, anytime there's a new coach coming in, there's going to be a transition. I think this will be a smooth transition. He knows the place. He knows the people. He knows the personnel. He knows how things run. Again, there's a good chance that he's going to be bringing a few of his guys with him. Gavin Doty saying on social media that he's, basically saying he's going to follow Gerry wherever he goes. So is that official? No. Is it? Does it seem like Gavin Doty would be a great fit? Yes, it does. And, Ryan Mesh and Francis Folafak, and, they may have 3 guys coming with them from Siena. Again, it's not a done deal, but a strong possibility. And you pair him with some of what he has now. You go into the portal, and, this roster may come together quicker than you may think.
I know some people kind of like poo-poo a kid from Siena coming, but even if they're not playing, which I think Doty will play, they know what the coach is about. Mm-hmm. They know the culture, and they will bring that with them and instill it in the other players. It's very important.
Yeah. Going from one winner to another, we talk about how Gerry's a winner. We had Brandon Trish on the Orange Nation radio show today. He is a proven winner.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about me. I was going to say, thank you. That's the nicest thing you ever said about me.
You're a winner too, Paulie. But in this case, we're talking about Brandon Trish, and we led him off by just getting his overall reaction to the news that Gerry has officially been named the head coach of the Orange.
I think it's pretty cool. Gerry definitely a winner. He's definitely one of those guys when I was watching Syracuse, who made me want to go to Syracuse, because it was that time where he was hitting all those shots during the Big East tournament. We were like getting time out of our classroom to watch the games. So it was definitely pretty fun. For me, obviously, names been rumbling, and you hear about like keeping it in the family. And Gerry definitely one of those guys who was deserving. For me, it didn't really matter how good he did in the MAC tournament, but I think that was like the icing on the cake. I think it made people who wasn't familiar with GMAC, I think it made them kind of like certified or verify him as a great coach.
So you were at Syracuse just as he was kind of getting started, right? As a coach, went from grad assistant to a full-time assistant while you were there, and I know you had a chance to work with him, quite a bit. What can you tell us about Gerry as a coach?
Yeah, Gerry, to me, he kind of had the blueprint, and I kind of, once I retired from basketball, it's kind of what I wanted to do. Like you said, he was a grad assistant, I believe my freshman year. And then obviously, things happened with, Bernie Fine, things like that. I think he became an assistant coach my second year, which is incredible. And I worked directly with him because he was a guards coach. So for me, I didn't talk to a lot of the coaching staff. Obviously, me being from Syracuse, I feel like I was more home, so I didn't feel like I needed to talk to everybody. And I guess I should have did that more, but he was one of the guys who I kind of turned to when I needed, confidence. He always gave that for me. He always gave me pointers and things like that. He always kind of hyped me up. So I definitely enjoyed him as an assistant coach while he was at Syracuse. Him as a head coach, I didn't really follow too much. I can't, say I did when he was at Siena. But I think he, if he's anything like he was as an assistant coach, then he's definitely a fiery guy. He's definitely like a player's coach and someone who's, like I said, is going to give you that fire and match that energy with you.
Along those lines, Brandon, I was talking with John Gillen over the weekend, and he told a story about one day at practice where, Jerry, as you well know, he would play a lot with you guys, right? He would be involved in scrimmages or whatever the case may be. And he said, John said, I put a move on him. I got past him and got to the basket. And right in that moment, Jerry challenged him to a game of one-on-one. And he said he's that competitive. Do you have any stories like that speak to Jerry's competitive nature or, just the kind of guy that Syracuse is getting in their next head coach?
So he definitely was very competitive, but I believe why he retired was because of a neck injury. And he was just, stopping him from playing, I believe, overseas. And he just had neck surgery. So he wasn't he was just getting back playing when I was there. You know what I mean? So I'm sure when John was there, he was fully, but we would challenge him. Like you said, he would be on top of the zone making shots, so it could be Scoop, talking crap to him or Dion talking crap, and he'll get back into that mode. But he had limitations because I believe at one point with his neck, it was hard for him to pick his arms up and stuff like that. So he wasn't super competitive because his body couldn't get him to that point. But he for sure, you bump him a little bit, he's ready to go.
There was a time where he was under Coach Boeheim, and Coach Boeheim obviously was the bad cop, and he was probably the good cop. Did you see a side of him where he would get angry at you guys? And was there a bad cop side to Jerry?
He would be more like I said, a player's coach, but it's listen, I see a lot for you. I need you to push it to the limit. You know what I mean? And I think him being competitive is he was one of those guys, he'll run through a wall. So I think if he sees a lot of potential from you, he's be the same way. So he would do that. He would challenge you for sure. He's you better than this. You know what I mean? All right, don't settle for just mediocrity. Be better than this. So he would definitely challenge players and stuff like that. But for me personally, he just talked right. He didn't have to do that for me, and he talked directly to me. And I think he got his message across to me, really, really good.
In terms of, and I don't know how many of your former teammates you still keep in touch with, Brandon, but from what you know and understand, and maybe from personal experience dealing with other guys, from the program, how will this hire play, I guess, among the alums, and how do you think it plays among the fan base as a whole?
Well, one, everybody loved GMAC. It's people love him around the community. They love him on the basketball court, off the court. As players, I don't know anybody that said anything bad about GMAC. You know what I mean? I don't think it's something to say bad about him. You know what I mean? So I think even if GMAC wasn't deserving of the job, everybody would want him to at least have a chance to have it. You know what I mean? So what I'm hearing from everybody is thank you, Adrian, for what you did, but GMAC, let's go. It's one of those things.
Yeah, and obviously NIL is such an important piece of this present day, and we saw that report from CBS Sports that Syracuse is expecting $9 million plus in NIL budgeting moving forward. I guess what's your reaction to that? That Syracuse again projected anyway to be in the top third of the conference, so top 6 of the conference. What's your reaction to that based on what you've seen the last couple of years here?
I think that's awesome. Obviously, we're kind of behind, I believe, initially when the NIL became a thing. I'm assuming Boeheim was kind of hard-headed when it came to it. All right, I don't care about paying players. But now that it's here, right now you're putting GMAC in the best position to be successful, whether it's this year or next year. I think with him personally, he obviously can bring, a couple of his guys over. Right, you start with that. You see who you can get back that's staying, next year from Syracuse current team. But when you hear those numbers, as fans, you expect him to perform top 3. If you have top 3 money, then perform top 3. And I think he's more than well. I think he's capable of it, and I think he's deserving to, be in the best opportunity to get wins. You know what I mean?
Oh, sorry, Paulie. I thought you had something. In terms of expectations, Brandon, you look at, Paulie and I were talking about this earlier, and Paulie said, if they don't get to the tournament year one, how's that going to play with the fan base? Obviously, there's a lot of pressure on him, walking in the door. What is your expectation for year one under Jerry McNamara? And I realize we don't know the roster yet, so there's a little speculation here, but we know what the NIL commitment is. We know the head coach. We know some of the pieces. What's your expectation for year one?
Maybe I'm not the best to ask with this question because I'm definitely a patient person. I'm definitely like a year two kind of person. So fans would say if you got top 3 money or you got top 4 money, then you got to finish top 4 in the conference. If you finish top 4 in the conference, that means you're making a tournament. Right? I'm not sure how many ACC teams were this year.
8 got in this year. But that includes a couple of 11. So, it was 6 to 8, depending on how you look at it.
Right. So if that's the case, to make the tournament, that means if you got top 3 money, you at least have to finish top 8 to make the tournament. I think that's a reasonable thing. You know what I mean? But as far as him building a culture and it being like GMAC's program, I feel like it'll happen the second, maybe third year of it. Like, okay, cool, we got the players. I know we can do this, but let's say being like that top 2, top 1 team, I think he's capable of doing that. I think I believe in him as a competitor to do everything in his will to put the team in the best position to win games. So I see him. To answer your question, yes, I see them making the tournament next year.
Yeah, and just to follow up on the pressure thing, I know you can relate to this, right? Because it's long been said that the local players, have more pressure in this town than anybody. Mm-hmm. It kind of feels like Jerry's going to have more pressure than had they gone to Josh Schertz or Brian Hodgson. It feels like there's going to be more pressure on Jerry to win, given the fact that he was in the family and a Cuse guy. Yeah. I guess A, do you agree with that? And B, how does one handle that? How did you handle that as a player?
I think for GMAC, was kind of better for him. I guess it was worse for Red was that since Red, they didn't do too well the last 2 years, that if he does better, we're going to be like, okay, nice. We can work with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the pressure is he has to do better than what we did last year and the previous years when he first get there. I think the fans won't be so patient. Personally speaking, yeah, for me, my goal was to be the best guy from the area, from Syracuse, to play at Syracuse, right? That was my goal. So was there pressure? I don't know. I just had pressure on myself. I wasn't a person who I kind of stuck to myself. I didn't feel the pressure from outside people. But then you hear about all these people who, let's say, Boeheim recruited and they didn't do so well. That's from Syracuse, or maybe they didn't have a fair shot. I didn't believe any of that. I figured, play, then I'll play. And from my career, you've seen that I was capable of playing 4 years, starting all 4 years. So for me, the pressure was like, how good can I be? You know what I mean? So that was the main thing for me. Is like, we were winning, we were doing a lot of winning, but it's like, okay, how good can I look while we win? And that was what I was chasing my 4 years.
We talk about Brandon Triche being a winner, and he was, both in high school and at the college level. Jerry, the same thing. Won a state title senior year in high school, went to the national title as a freshman at SU, won it in 2003. Then he went to a couple of Final Fours as an assistant, went to the NCAA tournament in just his second year at Siena. Wherever he goes, whatever he does, he finds a way to win.
I remember this so vividly. We were in the NIT. Syracuse is in the NIT basketball-wise, and Coach Boeheim very rarely talked to me back then. It was I was new, but he said Jerry McNamara had won a state title and scored blah, blah, blah points. I think it was in the 40s. And he said, I don't think you get him scoring that amount of points is like a college kid doing that against the Boston Celtics. He said he went out and led this team to the title himself. He was the guy. And I think that mentality has followed Jerry all the way through his career.
Yeah, I mean, we put together a piece looking back on his career, and we have some high school highlights in that piece. And it's going to air, by the way, at 5:30 on News Channel 9 during our news. he was, I mean, just the moves he made, some of the shots he made, he was a one-man show for that team. And he'll tell you that his teammates were involved. I'm sure they were to some degree, but to your point, he definitely led them to that state title and was a big piece of the national title. And, he's been successful ever since. We had, I don't want to say one of his favorite players, because I know Jerry is close with a lot of guys. Him and Tyus Battle had from what I remember, a very special relationship. They were very tight. We had Tyus Battle on our Orange Nation radio show today as well, caught up with him. And before we got into Jerry, we asked him what he's up to these days.
Yeah, everything's been good on my end. I mean, I'm coaching now. I'm coaching at Pennington Prep in Princeton, New Jersey, in that Princeton area. We'll also be coaching with a team final out of Philly this year. So, unfortunately, I suffered an injury. Still rehabbing that, trying to get back, but staying busy, staying involved with the sport of basketball.
Well, it's great to hear that things are going well. Great to hear that you're still in basketball, and that's not too different than what Jerry did, right? He had a great career. He played overseas for a little bit, and then he ended up getting into coaching, and here he is now, the head coach of his alma mater. Just let's start with your reaction to the news that that Jerry will be the next head coach of Syracuse basketball.
I mean, I'm so happy for G. I mean, I don't think there's any coach on the market that's more deserving than him. And I got a chance to watch a couple of Siena games over the past year, and just seeing the command that he has and the way he had that team ready to run through a brick wall for him is something special. So Jerry's always been the ultimate competitor, an amazing communicator, and I think he's going to do a great job.
I brought this up with Brandon earlier when we had him on. I was talking with John Gillen over the weekend, and John said there was a day at practice where Jerry was involved in the 5-on-5, and John put a move on him and beat him to the basket, and right then and there Jerry challenged him to a game of 1-on-1, and he said that was just an example of the competitive nature that you're talking about, Tyus. Do you have a story, or do you have anything that sticks out to you, a little anecdote about Jerry from your time there, as player and coach, that you could share with us that kind of defines what Jerry's all about?
I mean, anyone who knows Jerry knows that he just wants to win. I mean, that's just the way he's built. That's the way, that's his mentality. He's the ultimate competitor. And a lot of times, this is actually pretty funny, a lot of times Jerry and actually Eric would play pickup basketball games with the managers. And I'm talking about Jerry would be in a full sweat, talking smack, really trying to go at some of these managers, and that's just the mentality he's always had. And like I said this year, I mean, that's the mentality he had while coaching as well. So I think he's going to do an amazing job at Syracuse.
Amongst some of the fan base, they wanted a fresh start, not in the Boeheim coaching tree. Amongst you and the other players you talk to, how are you guys feeling about this GMAC hire?
I think it's the right choice. I know a lot of people were pretty reluctant about it. I mean, everyone has their own opinion out there, but I think it's the right choice to keep it in the family. I think GMAC's more than deserving of the job. I mean, he went out there to win the MAC conference in the second year. Had an amazing game, great game plan against Duke. So as long as I think the university and the fans support Jerry financially, he's going to be able to get it done.
Before you came on, Tyus, we were talking about Jerry and his coaching style and the fact that, he's a fiery competitor, but it also seems like he gets very close with his players and is very tight with his players. And I know that he thought the world of you and that you guys were very, very tight when you were here. Can you speak to that aspect of it, the relationship part of it that, maybe not every player has with their coach?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, especially as a young guy, you're going through so much at the college level, off the court, on the court, the stress of trying to win games. And there was a lot of time throughout my career that, especially my freshman year, when I was struggling at times, when I thought I should have been playing more, that we would have long talks and he would just tell me to just keep on pushing, and just the biggest thing for me to show that I deserve to be on the court is to prove it in practice every single day. And myself, I'm a competitor, so I listened to his advice out there in practice. I just competed every single day. It didn't matter who was guarding me, who I had to guard. And, with G, it's always about hard work. And if you put in the time, the hard work will pay off.
That kind of raises a larger topic just about college basketball these days. You talked about, as a freshman, maybe not playing as much as you wanted to or struggling and having to work through it. This day and age, Tyus, with the transfer portal, NIL being the way that it is, free agency, it feels like every year. Are kids and young men are they missing out on some of those life lessons? Like, do you feel like you're a better person and became a better player because you had to go through some of those trials and tribulations?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and going back to freshman year, it was the beginning of the year I didn't play much, but then I proved, and then Coach Bam gave me the playing time. But a lot of times, I think today in today's day and age, that kids, they don't really want to go through those difficult times. I think a lot of times when things get bad, they tend to just transfer, give up. And I think that's just teaching. It's not good, man. It's not good. And it's not the way I was taught, not the way I was, my mindset ever was. So I think, especially going to the transfer portal, that's the hardest thing. Try to find kids with the similar mindset, guys who want to compete, guys who don't just play for the money, who actually want to win games and represent the university in a positive way.
Jerry's going to be walking in the door here with a lot of pressure. We know that, given the way that, this program has missed the tournament 5 years in a row, and given the fact that they, went with an inside the family hire, and he's going to be facing a lot of pressure. What are your expectations, Tyus, for him? And I realize we don't know the roster yet. There's some speculation here, but what is your expectation in year one for Jerry and the Orange?
I think he's going to do well. I think everyone has to know this thing is going to take some time. I think we just have to, like I said before, support him financially, show up to games, because it's hard. I mean, this is a new world of college basketball. NIL has changed the game forever. And it takes time to build the culture and to put your own identity into a program. So, year one is not going to be a guarantee, but I think over time, year 2, year 3, fans are going to start seeing the improvement, and it's going to be the Syracuse basketball teams that we've seen in the past.
You brought up NIL there, Tyus, and you were just prior to the NIL era, and I use you as an example quite a bit on this show when we talk about that, because I feel like you were a guy that if NIL existed, you probably would have stayed one more year. You probably would have set the all-time scoring record at Syracuse. I mean, do you think back to that? Like if NIL were a thing in college sports when you were playing, would you have come back for that last year?
Honestly, if NIL was a thing when I was playing, they would have had to drag me out of college. It's just a whole different world now, and I'm so happy for the athletes today. My little brother was able to get a little taste of NIL, and it's something that the athletes deserve. I mean, you spend 4 years of your life, missing summers with your family, missing summers with your friends, grinding, going to class. It's a lot of sacrifice, and it brings a lot of revenue to these schools. So I'm happy to see the athletes are getting paid.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, listen, Tyus, it's been great catching up with you. Any final thoughts, any message to the fan base, or anything else you want to touch on here before we let you go?
The biggest thing, stay positive, man. Stay positive, give your love and support. I was a little disappointed of the way how things ended with Red and how the fans treated him. So with this new era with Jerry, I just want them to remain positive and remember that Red, GMAC, I mean, they bleed orange, and it's not easy being a head coach, especially in this new environment. So it takes time to build a program and to put your identity on a program. So just give your support, and he will get it done.
Great catching up with Tyus Battle. Again, Jerry McNamara, the new head coach of the Orange. We still don't know on an official time or date of the introductory press conference, but a lot of times we are truly being introduced to a new head coach.
Yeah.
That's not the issue this time around. We know him pretty well.
Yeah, we knew the last guy pretty well, too.
That's true.
And it's, we're just going to have to find out what his system is like. You know, I didn't watch a lot of Siena games, but we'll find out how his offense is going to run, what he expects defensively. I look forward to watching this grow. Yeah,
we look forward to working with him again. He was a pleasure, certainly, to get to know and work with for all those years as an assistant, and now we get to do so in his new role as the head coach, Paulie.
All right, Steve, National Cocktail Day. Do you have a favorite cocktail? Mine was gin and tonic.
Favorite.
I don't know if that's a cocktail.
Chris McManus turned me on to an old fashioned. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, it's perfect.
I actually enjoyed it. I never had one before until Chris McManus introduced me to it. And I was like, you know what? I could get behind this.
National Cheesesteak Day. Do you enjoy a cheesesteak?
Yes, no peppers and onions, though.
Okay. National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day.
I'm okay with chocolate.
Raisinets? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I'm okay with raisins.
With you.
Yeah, okay with raisins.
All right.
That was it.
That's it.
All right. Beautiful. Let's wrap it up. For Paulie, I'm Steve.
Awkward, Eddie.
We'll talk to you again tomorrow, everybody.